Hi, I'm Dave Wurzel and you're watching PHTV4. This is Bookshelf, and on Bookshelf today we're going to take a look at March and April releases for 2023. With me to take a look at these titles coming out is Matt Matkowski. Matt, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Matt is the head of public services at Palos Heights Library. So we're going to take a look at some books from a variety of categories. We're going to use some lines to kind of tease you into some of these books. We've got a whole variety of fiction and nonfiction. Before we launch into those, Matt, I'm going to have to sneak in a couple of my own titles here.
Absolutely.
The first title I want to mention is in a category I'm going to call In Case You Missed It, and that's because this book actually came out in 2018. This is a bite-sized history of France, gastronomic tales of revolution, war, and enlightenment. I just read this book. It was recommended to me, and I'm going to tell you, as odd as the title might sound, it is actually an excellent book. It made me want to try food I might not have wanted to try before. Drinks I probably wouldn't have had a taste to try before. I'll give you the New York Book Review comment on this book. The complex political, historical, religious, and social factors that shape some of France's most iconic dishes and culinary products are explored in a way that will make you rethink every sprinkling of fleur de sel. I know it sounds odd. It might be a hard sell on this book, but I'm going to tell you, reading this book, travelers for sure, but anybody, it's a history of France, but it reads really fast. You can read it in short segments, and it talks about baguettes and croissants and Bordeaux's and Burgundies and Champagne and all the cheeses and cassoulet, and I mean it goes through all, and it turned out to be incredibly fascinating. So I'm going to do a shout out in case you missed it, A Bite-Sized History of France by Stéphane Hinault and his wife Jenny Mitchell.
So, well, any book that can, inspire you to try new things, I guess, is doing its job. So.
Well, that's my thought. I'm like, I like it, and then when I realized, I think I'd like to try some of these things, maybe it is worth, recommending. Another book that I read the original version, and this is in the category adapted for the young reader, is The Sum of Us by Heather McGhee, and subtitle, How Racism Hurts Everyone. Her book, The Sum of Us, came out in 2021, and just February of this year, she came out with an adapted version for younger readers, and it's listed as grades 5 through 9 and up, obviously. And it takes a topic that I think can be difficult to explore and makes it manageable for young people. So I have the original book. I compared it to this one. I saw how she restructured it. It's a good book, very readable. And I'll give you kind of, the critic's description of it. A groundbreaking call to action that examines how racism affects and harms all of us and how we need to face it head on together. And, her premise is the future can be prosperous for everyone, but only if the problems of racial and economic inequality are addressed. And her point being that the zero-sum philosophy is working against us, especially in this area, and everybody can benefit and everybody would if we can eliminate some things. And she gives you a lot of real-life examples that are very interesting to take a look at. So those are my two sneak-ins. All right.
Very good.
Now we're going to get to the March and April releases. And Matt, you're going to go first, and we've got a psychological legal thriller here for us. You want to tell us about this book?
Sure, yeah. This one is titled All That Is Mine, I Carry With Me by William Landay. That came out actually March 7th. And we'll give you the description here. A mother vanished. A father presumed guilty. There is no proof. There are no witnesses. For the children, there is only doubt. From the New York Times bestselling author of Defending Jacob. And that, of course, recently adapted into a TV show on Apple TV, if you've seen that. This is by the same guy. And one afternoon in November 1975, 10-year-old Miranda Larkin comes home from school to find her house eerily quiet. Her mother is missing. Nothing else is out of place. There is no sign of struggle. Her mom's pocketbook remains in the front hall in its usual spot. So begins a mystery that will span a lifetime. What happened to Jane Larkin?
Good setup for a mystery here, and like you said, good timing with the Apple TV thing, if you want to work that route with this author. Another big-name author coming up here. This is in our action-packed historical thriller category. I've only read one book by this author. I really liked it. I'm actually looking forward to this. This sounds really interesting.
Yeah, Loyalty by Elisa Scottoline. She's very popular at the library. A lot of people are into her. And the description here, #1 best-selling author Lisa Scottoline presents Loyalty, an emotional, action-packed epic of love and justice set during the rise of the Mafia in Sicily. Readers will be transported to the dramatic and ruggedly beautiful island of Sicily, the jewel of the Mediterranean, where lush lemon groves and mouth-watering cuisine contrast with a turbulent history of colonization and corruption. So, a lot of historical fiction centers around World War II. So this is kind of something a little different. So
Right.
looking forward to that.
And she is a great storyteller. I definitely recommend the one book I read by her. I really like Eternal Summers. I think it was a book. And based on that reading experience, and then the premise for this one, it sounds good. It sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
I'm going to sneak in a nonfiction March release here, and this is in the category Why Poverty is Perpetuated in America and the Fix. So author Matthew Desmond wrote Poverty by America, and he gives us his take on why poverty exists. And it's kind of a disturbing premise. The critics' comment on it is, he reimagines the debate on poverty, making a new embracing argument about why it persists in America. Why? Because the rest of us benefit from it. To me, I find it kind of disturbing. I'm kind of interested in seeing why he puts that argument out there, what it's based on. But the premise here, I think we can all identify with. The critics say, the United States, the richest country on earth, has more poverty than any advanced democracy. Why? Why does a land of plenty allow 1 in every 8 children to go without basic necessities, permit scores of its citizens to live and die on the streets, and authorizes its corporations to pay poverty wages? It raises some serious issues that we're all aware of. So I'm kind of interested to see his take on this and how he addresses that.
Yeah, and this one is getting a lot of pre-release buzz. So
yeah, and he doesn't just identify the problem, he also offers up the fix as well. So might be something to take a look at. The next category we're going to take a look at is another nonfiction title coming out in March. This is in our Discover an Unknown Heroine.
yes, and this one is called The Watchmaker's Daughter, the true story of World War II heroine Corrie ten Boom by Larry Loftus. This one description is a New York Times bestselling author and master of nonfiction spy thrillers. Larry Loftus writes the first major biography of Corrie ten Boom, a Dutch watchmaker who saved the lives of hundreds of Jews during World War II, at the cost of losing her family and being sent to a concentration camp, only to survive, forgive her captors, and live the rest of her life as a Christian missionary. The Watchmaker's Daughter is one of the greatest stories of World War II that readers haven't heard, the remarkable and inspiring life story of Corrie ten Boom.
It is interesting. I love that last line there. When you come across one of the greatest stories that people haven't heard, how does somebody like her, slip through the cracks? And sounds like an incredibly fascinating story.
It does.
I'm looking forward to taking a look at this one. The next category, another March release, is in our biographical fiction about, and I'm now quoting the critic, a woman who refuses to be corralled. I love the premise there.
Yes.
By Jeanette Walls, and you may have heard of her. She wrote The Glass Castle, and another very good writer. And this book is Hang the Moon. So this riveting new novel about an indomitable young woman in Virginia during Prohibition. So we've got another historical piece here. And the critic says you're going to fall in love with this character, Sally Kincaid, a feisty and fearless, terrified, and damaged young woman who refuses to be corralled. So anything in Jeanette Wall's hands, I'm kind of interested to see what she does with.
For sure.
Now I'm going to mention some other titles real quick. These are some other March releases that you might want to look at. The premises are kind of interesting. We've got Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson coming out in March, described as a delicious new Gilded Age family drama, so another period piece. Beyond That, The Sea by Laura Spence Ash, also coming out in March. A tender-hearted love story that takes place on both sides of the Atlantic during World War II, another historical piece. And then we've got Hello, Beautiful by Ann Napolitano. She's a best-selling author. The thing that struck me about Hello, Beautiful that was interesting, that the critics said there's a parallel here to Louisa May Alcott's classic Little Women. I thought, all right, kind of a new spin on that premise maybe. Mm-hmm. So anyway, those are our March releases. Man, how about let's take a look at some April releases here. Next category.
Sure.
Coming out early April, historical mystery.
Yeah, this one is Homecoming by Kate Morton. Described as a sweeping novel that begins with a shocking crime, the effects of which echo across continents and generations. Adelaide Hills, Christmas Eve, 1959. At the end of a scorching hot day, beside a creek in the grounds of the grand and mysterious house, a local delivery man makes a terrible discovery. A police investigation is called, and the small town of Tambilla becomes embroiled in one of the most shocking and perplexing murder cases in the history of South Australia.
Another, I mean, the mystery element, obviously, alternative setting. I mean, we're, heading to Australia for this. A lot of interesting premises to work with here.
Yeah, and the audiobook for this one, it'll have an Australian accent. So,
oh, right.
If you're into that, why not listen to it?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially good readers can really bring these stories alive. So maybe check out the book or the audio version of Homecoming by Kate Morton. Next category, man, I'm going to turn over to you because I know you're into romantic comedies.
Love rom-coms, yes.
What have you got?
A Happy Place by Emily Henry. This is about a couple who broke up months ago, but pretend to still be together for their annual week-long vacation with their best friends in this glittering and wise new novel from #1 New York Times bestselling author Emily Henry. Harriet and Wynne have been the perfect couple since they met in college. They go together like salt and pepper, honey and tea, lobster and rolls. Except now, for reasons they're still not discussing, they don't. They broke up 5 months ago and still haven't told their best friends.
All right. I get it. It fits the premise. It's got a little bit of a Hallmark quality to it, but maybe a light, fun read.
Yeah.
Certainly rom-coms can do that. A break from the hard stuff, right?
Yeah, and in April, maybe we're coming out of winter. You're looking for something a little lighter. So
a lighter read, a funner read. Okay. All right, we're going to take a look at an April release nonfiction title here, and this is in our category, Nostalgic Look at Baseball. Welcome to the Circus of Baseball, a story of the perfect summer at the perfect ballpark at the perfect time by Ryan McGee. Ryan McGee was a reporter for ESPN, or is described as a gloriously funny, nostalgic memoir of this popular ESPN reporter who, in the summer of 1994, was fresh out of a college intern for a minor league baseball team. Madness and charm ensue as Ryan McGee spends the season steeped in sweat, fertilizer, nacho cheese, and pure, unadulterated joy in North Carolina with the Asheville Tourists. I don't know, after that description, a season steeped in sweat, fertilizer, nacho cheese sauce, and pure, in baseball, it's coming up. The weather's starting to turn. This might be a nice read this spring.
I agree.
All right, another nonfiction title, and the category, this is a critic's label for it. I really loved it. Human Behavior at Extremes.
Yes, so this is The Wager, a tale of shipwreck, mutiny, and murder by David Grann. I'm really looking forward to this one. His first book was Lost City of Z, which was really good. And the description here, from the #1 New York Times bestselling author of Killers of the Flower Moon. Very popular book.
Yeah, I read another good one.
Yeah, also I think Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio are turning that into a movie. A page-turning story of shipwreck, survival, and savagery, culminating in a court-martial that reveals a shocking truth. The powerful narrative reveals the deeper meaning of the events on The Wager, showing that it was not only the captain and crew who ended up on trial, but the very idea of empire. On January 28th, 1742, a ramshackle vessel of patched-together wood and cloth washed up on the coast of Brazil. Inside were 30 emaciated men, barely alive, and they had an extraordinary tale to tell.
I love the premise. I love the setup. And in this author's hands, certainly a book to look forward to.
Yeah, this guy, he can write nonfiction in a way that, you'd think it's a novel you're reading.
Right. It's so powerful in the way he recreates that story.
Yeah,
I would agree. I'm looking forward to The Wager. The next category, and I had to borrow this. This is Stephen King's line about a thriller. He called it thought-provoking, engaging, and enraging. This is by a very popular author, very good writer, Dennis Lehane, and this book is Small Mercies, coming out near the end of April. It's the summer of 1974. A heat wave blankets Boston, and Mary Pat Fennessy is trying to stay one step ahead of the bill collectors. Mary Pat has lived her entire life in the housing projects of Southie. Set against the hot, tumultuous months when the city's desegregation of its public schools exploded in violence, Small Mercies is a superb thriller. And I only include Stephen King's, but there were so many advanced reads on this and all the critics' comments. This sounds like an amazing book, a ton of positive reviews, all working language similar to Stephen King's here.
Oh yeah, yeah, a lot. You know, like some of these other ones, there's a lot of buzz about this one. So
yeah, Dennis Lehane is certainly somebody to check out. The title premise really works. All right, we've got another title coming out in April. This is in our Depression-era American journey, another big-name author here.
Yeah, Charles Frazier has brought us The Trackers, which is coming out in April. From the New York Times bestselling author of Cold Mountain and Verena, a stunning new novel that paints a vivid portrait of life in the Great Depression. In The Trackers, singular American writer Charles Frazier conjures up the lives of everyday people during an extraordinary period of history that bears uncanny resemblance to our own. With the keen perceptions of humanity and transcendent storytelling that have made him beloved for decades, Frazier has created a powerful and timeless new classic.
I'm looking forward to it. With or without the premise, having read Cold Mountain, I think he does a great job with characters and situations and plot with those characters. This could be another wonderful read.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back to, this is a next title here. We've got a nonfiction release in April that so many critics describe it as riveting, which I know is probably a popular word in the critical word, profession, but a riveting historical study, a nonfiction piece. Matt?
Yeah, this one, it's got a long title. Fever in the Heartland, the Ku Klux Klan's plot to take over America and the woman who stopped them, by Timothy Egan. So this is a historical thriller by the Pulitzer and National Book Award-winning author Timothy Egan that tells the riveting story of the Klan's rise to power in the 1920s, the cunning con man who drove that rise, and the woman who stopped them.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I didn't realize that. I know that the Klan had a rebirth in the 1920s. I think in Indiana, but so it went through a rebirth, and obviously they had ambition beyond that moment too. And it sounds like this is going to explore that in a way that, again, drew a lot of positive reviews. And again, it's in the hands of a very, very good writer here. So something to take a look at, Fever in the Heartland. All right, those are the titles we want to draw attention to. I'm going to sneak in just a couple other April releases. I think you'd probably find these titles on your own. Book coming out, you're going to recognize the family name here, Things I Wish I Told My Mother. This book is written by a family, Susan Patterson, Susan Dalala, and there he is, James Patterson. Okay. And you've got a mother-daughter on vacation in Paris, and they're sharing their secrets and their hopes, and it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this Patterson family project.
Yeah.
Another title I want to sneak in here is Symphony of Secrets by Brendan Slocum. This is described as a gripping page-turner about a professor who uncovers a shocking secret about the most famous American composer of all time, that his music was stolen from a young black composer named Josephine Reed. Another very interesting premise to work with. Again, another good writer. That's coming out later in April. So, April and March releases, and Matt, thank you for helping put this list together. You brought in a lot of great titles for us to take a look at.
Yeah, busy couple of months.
Yeah, some good reading to look forward to. I'm Dave Wurzel, and you've been watching Bookshelf with my co-host Matt Matkowski, and we have been talking about March and April releases in 2023 on Bookshelf. Thank you for watching, and good reading.